talking about the generations is it goes into saying the individual is going to be held accountable. Like, okay, if there's like a curse on your family, right? Like each individual will be held accountable for their particular relation to it, so that I guess you could work your way out of it so that you were forgiven or absolved. It wasn't like you're gonna have your like you have to carry the curses of your ancestors. It would just be like based on your actions. But it's kind of like the opposite of what the other Bible verse said, honestly. So that's the spiritual aspect. And then I talked last time about the science and epigenetics. And that stuff, I mean, it starts out kind of fascinating, but, after you do hours of research, it starts to be a little bit of a snooze alert. But, I mean, I guess if you're a scientist, it's not. But I'm sure that there are families who maybe are more receptive. I don't know. I've only read accounts of families who were not that receptive, but there was always like a couple, sometimes a sibling or something, or a cousin who'll be like on board with, doing work to counteract. I think honestly there's more, I mean, this is just my opinion, I don't know if I'm right. I would think there would be more unity between the spiritually minded, maybe, because if like everybody in the family is part of a certain religion and they're all into their faith, then it would be more based on like how into your faith were you versus other family members. I mean, I think there'd be more coercion. There'd be more agreement because it's based more on like us against the world, like we're on God's side and against the world. Whereas I think when you're talking about, this is the problem with democracy, when you're talking about a family, everybody's raised in that same dynamic, right? So people are probably gonna, for the most part, the majority, I would think, is gonna go with, it's like herd mentality. They're gonna go with the parents, or like they're gonna go with a status quo. Maybe what the older generations are thinking. And then there'll be like a few rebels. But I just think when you get to individuals, it gets really like, you don't have like a one doctrination over them, or like, it just gets harder. And then I think it really gets down to this, how much work people really want to do. I've said that before. And also just ingrained, okay, that's why I talked about thought patterns. The ingrained mentality of each family. Now, here's the thing. Like, if you're talking about a narcissistic upbringing, like where one or both parents were narcissists, I mean, they're going to be very like reluctant, and they're going to definitely fight back, and they're not going to be into any, I mean, a narcissist, like, number one thing is to protect their ego at all costs, and to absolutely, their image is like primary. That is like end all be all. So you're not going to get any flexibility if there's narcissistic hierarchy of the family. Other problems you would have is what I was going to talk about, is mental illnesses or addictions. Like, people are going to you know, they'll side on whatever they personally think is okay, you know, what their moral code is really, like, you know. And I mean, people get very rigid, and they're very, like, you know, like they live their whole life in a certain way. And like, think about how mad people get. Think about how mad people get just seeing somebody different. Like, you're at a restaurant or a bar or something, and like, I'm just using an example. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a personal example of anybody I've known. But let's say you have somebody who's gay, and the people sitting near them at the establishment, you know, they're completely anti-gay. Like, they don't know these people. They're not, you know, like, they're not part of their social circle. Like, they'll never see them again, you know, unless they live in a super small town. Like, but people will be like, irate, like almost like they can't even, like, eat their meal, you know, near these other people, because it offends them so much because of their morals, or like whatever their personal philosophy is. It's like that. So, but within a family, yeah, times like 10. So you get the idea. It's really like, you know, taking a canoe upstream. It's not good. It's not good. So, yeah, imagine how people get when you challenge them in their own home where they're paying the bills.